Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Pretend Problems podcast. I'm Kelsey Cook.
And I am Chad Daniels.
Oh, man.
Couldn't think of one. Happened too fast.
We're a little tired today. We had a travel weekend where we went to Indiana for a family wedding of Chad's cousin.
Mm-hmm. It was a fantastic time.
Yeah, and Chad officiated.
I did.
Which was really cool to see. And he did a fucking great job. And you touched on this a little bit in middle of Somewhere's episode today that I already listened to.
Okay.
Number one fan.
Okay.
That some couples will do the pouring sand ceremony to symbolize merging their lives into one. And they did a German tradition I've never heard of, never seen in my life, where they together cut part of a log in half.
Yeah, cut a log with a saw. They each took one side.
Yeah.
And then I thought what was kind of cool is like a great representation of marriage is the log started moving a little bit and the saw got stuck and then their friends and family stepped up to help, which I thought was like a great, like, hey, this is how it works.
Yeah. And then they took it, the friends and family kind of took it to the side afterward, and you had such a funny on-the-spot joke about how also it's a perfect representation of asking your friends to move.
To help you move.
To help you move. Yeah, it was fantastic.
Well, that's very nice. Thank you.
And also, if you notice my speech be a little different at all, I had what's called a frenectomy. Whoa, that's a hard word to say when you've got stitches in your tongue.
That's why they do it. That's why they did lisp and why they did stutter. They're like, oh, you have a stutter? Try to say this S and T right next to each other. Oh, you have a lisp? Well, here's an S and a P, bitch. And now you have a what's it called?
Frenectomy.
Frenectomy.
Because I mentioned this briefly on the podcast because I know we got an email back when I said it of somebody who got a tongue tie release, aka frenectomy, and said that you had to relearn how to whistle. And so I was actually trying to do that yesterday and
Getting
there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was about as strong as your whistle before, to be honest with you.
I think so too.
So when I say whistler. Getting there, I'm like, hurry up and learn how to whistle. Like actually learn how to whistle.
Actually get there.
Can I take a step back?
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about this wedding just for a little bit longer.
Oh, sure, yeah.
First of all, my cousin Renee, all of a sudden the dance was just getting going because the dance was outside.
Okay, yeah.
On a concrete dance floor. And a lot of people waited till the sun went down. It was more like a stand around, sing some songs once in a while. And then the sun went down and my cousin Renee took out these larger than life glow sticks, like 2 feet long foam glow sticks. Yeah. And then all hell broke loose. It was like, do we need to find Molly? That's the thing. It's like, you're going to hand these out, but not Molly? Interesting, Renee. I feel like Renee would definitely know a Molly.
Yeah.
But the coolest thing about the dance for me was all of a sudden this song comes on and we're like, can't dance to this. And the married couple, Kais and Madeline, started a mosh pit.
Yes.
And were really going into each other. Like, yeah, like if that's how you settle arguments, good for you. Just put on some grunge and let her fucking rip. Because a mosh pit's not assault. It never has been. For either one of them. Yeah. And they were holding their own.
Yeah.
It was so fun. And then Madeline goes, have you ever heard of a mosh pit before? And I was like, sorry, dude, we started them. That's like when Olivia goes, oh, why are you wearing Vans? It's like, okay, I'm sorry, but.
Why are you wearing Vans?
We are the generation.
Yeah. Yeah, that song came on and Madeline straight bounded through the barn outside, started pushing Kais. I've never seen anything like that.
It was absolutely fantastic. And they are such a lovely couple. Yeah. I had the honor to talk to them and ask them questions before the wedding. And I didn't use all of them. I just kind of wanted a gauge of everything. Yeah. And god dang it, they are perfect for one another.
Yeah. And I don't want to, if they listen, I'm not trying to be gross, but I would imagine you guys use that mosh pit as a little bit of foreplay for your wedding night.
Most likely.
Like Mr. and Mrs. Smith style.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's probably accurate.
Yeah.
And I also don't want to hear about that because they're my
younger
cousins.
And that's why I stopped.
Yeah. And then my other cousin, Kaisa's older brother, Eric, had quite possibly the most the overall best man speech I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
It was laughing to crying to laughing to crying more.
Yeah.
And then that goddamn country song came on.
Oh my God. We have to talk about
where
it.
Kais danced with his mom, and the lyrics are something like the mom is excited to have this baby boy, and she's dancing with her little boy. And then, but she knows that someday another girl will be dancing in her place. And it's like, motherfuck, so close after the speech.
I was not prepared.
I'm trying to get my emotions in check. Yeah. I'm trying to get back to good. I'm trying to smile because here's how good the speech was. As I'm crying, Eric is talking about his dad, Dave, him and Kaisa's dad, Dave, that passed away, who was my cousin, passed away in 2011. And he has this blog, right? And he's reading the blog posts. And it's the fucking worst because you're at this wedding. Dave's missing. Everybody knows it. Not the elephant in the room because it's been addressed.
Yeah.
And everyone is just weeping. And then he turns it out on dime and goes, and this other blog post made me laugh where my dad said he heard a guy say, you got to piss with the pecker you got. So I'm laugh crying, which is the most disgusting sound a human can make. It was brutal, but it was so good. It was so needed.
Yeah.
It was like in my opinion, the perfect speech. But then that song came on.
And you guys know, we're not big country people. And so I think if a country song like that starts, I kind of immediately dismiss whatever it's about to be about when you hear that twang. And my God, it just pulled you in so quickly. And next thing you know, I'm like shoulder shake, crying, had to go to the bathroom. It was like, what the fuck? I was not prepared for that song.
I was sitting right behind you. I saw your shoulder shaking. I'm like, this bitch is laughing at a very important time. Get your mind right. This is my family. And then I peek around, tears, crying.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, anything having to do with a mom is like, it touches a button pretty fast. So anyway, it was a beautiful wedding. Yeah. We had a great time.
We talked about that song, Don't Take the Girl. Mm-hmm. Where it starts off, this dad is going to take his little son fishing. Yeah. And he offers to take this neighbor girl. And the little boy's like, don't take the girl. Yeah. And then this fucking thing ends up where he's praying at the end because she's got cancer or some shit. And he's praying to God, don't take the girl. Come on, country music. What is your deal, man?
Let's pick a lane.
I thought we came to party. I'm sad. I'm here like just fucking down in Bud Lights to make everybody uncomfortable because that's a cross-dressing beer. Everybody knows it. And now you're going to make me cry?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And speaking of Bud Light, we were sober at the wedding. We both recently hit our 4-month mark of not drinking, and it's just crazy. It's so weird.
Here's the thing. I've wanted to get drunk every single day, but I'm so competitive that until she breaks, I've invited her alcoholic friends. I've bought their tickets to come here. The friends that all they do is drink and all they do is ask her to drink. So I'm waiting. I'm waiting patiently. And then you're going to find me barfing at the bottom of the stairs after chugging a bottle of tequila. I can't wait. I'm so excited. The cool thing is, though, you always go, well, there's always a reason to drink, right? That's what I used to say. Yeah. And I think a lot of people do say that. But you go, there's always a reason to drink. It's summertime. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go with the boys. We're going to go do a golf trip.
Yeah,
we're going to go to
5 o'clock somewhere.
We're going to go to this wedding. We have to get drunk to dance, right? Yeah. And I don't know. It's like once you check a bunch of those off, you go, maybe there isn't always a reason to drink. Because I've enjoyed this. I enjoyed driving home without constantly looking in the rearview mirror for a police officer. Mm-hmm. Do I drink and drive? Yeah, sometimes. Did I? Yeah. When you feel like you can get there, and then that's when they fucking throw you in jail. You go, I feel fine enough to drive 3 miles on back roads. And then the cops are like, oh, our car's going back roads too. How do you like jail?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy because yes, there is always technically a reason to drink. And there's also always a reason not to drink. I'm learning. It's
Sure.
like every event we go to where it's like, oh yeah, like people are drinking, they look like they're having fun. But also I don't want to feel like shit at all tomorrow or even later tonight.
That's true.
So
We had a long travel day.
yeah, we had a long travel day.
Now, my daughter did drink
Oh my God.
quite a bit. My daughter is like a fucking old Russian lady.
Yeah.
She just
loves a vodka shot.
loves straight vodka to shoot it. And I think it's because she can chase it and wash it away quickly. It doesn't have any aftertaste, but still, I got to tell you, I don't know. And she stayed up. It was Indiana, so there's a hotel parking lot party. She stayed up.
Right next to a Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not saying that to be funny. That was what you looked out our window and saw. Fucking Cracker Barrel.
There were 3 hotels. It was a Best Western Plus.
Comfort Inn.
That's where we were.
Yeah.
Come Fart Inn. That's what we used to call it. We go, you're staying at the Come Fart Inn? Ooh, boy.
I've never heard that. I'm 5 years old. That immediately made me laugh so hard.
Oh, I think it's the funniest thing still to this world. You go, you guys aren't staying at the Come Fart Inn, are you? Oh, boy, because that's...
Oh, God. I have a child.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then something of maybe a...
Yeah, and they all 3 groups
Shiloh
were
Inn.
staying at the different places. Mm-hmm. And then there was a party, and she stayed up till like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Went to get Taco Bell.
Yeah, and slept for, I don't know, a few hours. And then we had a flight back, and then she had to drive 3 hours. And it is a kind of a humbling moment of like, you know what? That's what you do in your early 20s. And I am in my mid 30s, and my body can't do that anymore.
Yeah. Well,
There's
you could
no
imagine
way.
what my body can't do anymore. I don't. You're laughing too hard.
That's only gonna make me laugh harder.
I know. It's pretty amazing. And not only did she have to drive 3 hours, she had to drive 5.5 hours because she parked her car at a hotel off of the interstate an hour from home.
Yeah.
So my mom could bring her to that car and then drive. She had to backtrack a half hour to go see her friend. But when they got there, my daughter had left her keys in my car. And so my mom had to drive her all the way back to her house, grab some extra keys, and then drive back, and then 6.5 hours.
Your mom did all of that?
That would be. My mom, brought her to her mom's house to grab her keys, and then brought her back to her car.
Wow. That's a good grandma right there.
It is a very good grandma. I texted her that.
That's really nice.
Yep.
God damn. Okay. Yeah, longer travel day than even I thought.
For sure. But that's what happens when you're hungover, see? I wouldn't have forgotten those keys. Or would I would have I? There we go.
Would have I? That sounds also weird.
But
it's right.
Yeah.
But it sounds weird, yeah. And then also when we were in Indiana, you and I went on the Bob and Tom show together.
Yeah.
Which was really fun.
Old friends of mine, new friends of yours now.
Yeah, had never met them, had heard great things about the show, but I believe... Did we already have a write-in from there? Anyway, if you listened to us on there and you came here, thank you, because we forgot to plug it like a couple of dum-dums.
Yeah, that was weird, but I've been going into Bob and Tom for years and years and years, and then you got to finally come in and see them. If you don't know who they are a syndicated radio show out of Indianapolis. They're all over the country and all over. Why can't I think of the word that I'm trying to think of? Sorry, Justin.
No, I don't know. You can keep this in. I don't care. But
like military radio?
Yeah.
I don't think that's what it's called. But anyways, it's like all of the bases all over the world carry this show for the morning.
Yeah.
And I always get a lot of emails from people from there. So, thanks if you came over. But anyways, we found out that your dad had listened to this show so many years ago.
Yeah, it was like a huge deal.
A big fan of the show.
Yeah, and I usually tell my dad when I'm doing something that I think he'll think is cool, but I didn't even know he knew of them. And it was just like, oh my God, I have their CD.
Yeah.
And all this stuff. So it's pretty awesome.
That was really neat.
Should I keep talking about the frenectomy stuff a little bit before we get into the middle segment?
Please do, if you can.
I know. I have to swallow so often right now. And I mean, insert every blowjob joke. This whole thing is just like one long blowjob joke.
Not me.
It's like, you've been very nice. Thank you. But so I know I mentioned it a while ago on the podcast, but basically my frenulum, which is that piece of skin under your tongue, has been too short my whole life. So what that does is it restricts your tongue movement, makes it harder to speak, harder to eat, all those things. And then the other muscles in your mouth and in your neck end up overworking to try to compensate for what your tongue can't do. So if you like clench your jaw hard at night, or if you have bad neck tension, back tension, all of that, maybe that's what's going on with you. I don't know. But anyway, they told me, oh, come in, you see an oral surgeon, takes like 30 minutes, do some stitches, you don't get knocked out. They made it seem like this was a pretty simple thing. And 90 minutes later, because apparently my tongue was stubborn and like she did the main cutting the skin out and it was still not really releasing. So she had to cut all the way up my tongue on the bottom of it. And so I ended up having stitches, which I still have in right now, all the way up my tongue, and called Chad crying as I left the office because it was one of the worst pains I've ever felt. And it's just been kind of a nightmare of a week trying to rehab it. So we are doing a show together tonight, and I have no idea how it's going to go to just talk for 10 minutes straight.
Yeah. But now I do have quite a bit more ammo if the baby conversation comes back up, because if you think tongue pain hurts.
If you think tongue pain hurts, tongues are like that's like the go-to torture spot for people who are held captive.
Gotta tell you, I think a lot of women that have given birth will beg to differ. I really do.
I know, but I'm just saying.
When you rip from your vagina to your asshole.
I know, but I'm just saying tongues aren't like your shin. Your tongue is your tongue. It's like so sensitive. And you
I'm
use it
not
for
saying
everything.
a tongue doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
I'm saying when the doctor goes, that tain't a rip, you go, well, that maybe hurt a little more than a tongue. I have to guess.
I told you yesterday, there are so many times where I wish I could just put my hand on you and make you feel what I'm feeling just for a second so you get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's our relationship. She wants to have wizard assault. She wants to be able to fucking put her pain into me like a non-consensual John Coffey from the Green Mile.
Oh my God. You always do that reference. I never know what it means.
Yeah, because
it's
you
my
don't watch
fault.
any movies.
It's my own fault.
I love how she's like, hey, have you heard this new Dip to Dip song? And then you don't know any of the classic movies. Why don't you take some time and catch up?
I know. Anyway, it's hard though because like you'll have to describe your hip pain to me sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I do wish that we could just for a second go, oh, fuck, that's what that feels like. Oh my God.
I would never do that to you.
Ugh.
That's a fact. When I say that I wish I could put my hand on you, it's so you could understand my brain.
Well, I feel that too.
It is never because I want to go, you should fucking feel this fire in my leg right now.
But I would want to if it was like I knew it was going to go away in a few seconds, but just to know, yeah. God, I think that'd be like...
I don't think I could do it. It's tough.
You don't think you could...
Plus, I don't want you to know how big of a wimp I am.
Well, I did think about that. Like, God, if you had that power and then I did touch you, like, oh my God, isn't my tongue in so much pain? And you're like, oh, that's actually like kind of nothing. I'd be like, well, I'm going to end it all. So yeah, I guess it's probably good that we can't.
That would probably backfire.
Yeah, but...
On me more than you, I would think.
Yeah.
Because you'd be like, oh yeah, that's what joints feel like. Like, oh, I thought there was something wrong. Oh, God.
Yeah, right. The way you describe it when you're like, oh, it's bone on bone. I'm like, okay, how have you not committed mass murder?
Just in some positions, though. Otherwise, it's still got some stuff.
Yeah, but God.
Still got some lube in there.
Any sort of bone on bone.
Lube it up.
Anyway, do you want to do the middle segment now?
Yeah, I would love to. Because
okay.
I don't know any of the things.
What?
I'm gonna let you explain because
Okay.
I don't know any of this.
So we decided to do the middle segment a little differently today. My friends Rachel and Jamie came to town recently. It was
Shout out.
Such a wonderful trip.
Not the alcoholics, by the way.
We had so much fun, and none of them were.
She doesn't have any friends that are alcoholics. I made that up, and I'm not gonna buy him a fucking ticket. Are you kidding me? Come on. The whole thing was made up.
Anyway, Rachel and Jamie came to town, and we were talking about that there's this thing called highly sensitive personality, or a highly sensitive person. And it's not a disorder, but it's a personality type. And they have both taken the quiz. They are both highly sensitive people. Because we kind of joke about that, like, when the three of us are together, we're very, like, in tune with one another. And it's just a very, like, sweet, comforting environment.
Sure.
We kind of like to do the same things.
Now, may I hop in?
Yeah.
As you guys know, I am a little hesitant on some of these things because we don't know where this is from. We have, I could post something online, right, where I go, hey, you guys, this is a mass murder quiz. Do you have it in you to mass murder? Number 1, does your body feel better with oxygen?
No, that's not what this is.
When you're thirsty, do you like to drink stuff? 2 for 2. So, but I am interested to hear this thing. Because some of those quizzes are like that, in my opinion.
Totally.
That's what I'm saying.
This was created by a doctor, by a psychiatrist in 1996.
1996, okay.
So, and she created this this assessment for it. And so both Jamie and Rachel are highly sensitive. And they're like, do you want to take the assessment? And I was like, yeah. And so it's 27 questions. I will tell you guys right now, I scored 26 out of 27. Yeah. So I was off the charts for being highly sensitive. And the last question, it's like, I could basically say yes. So it's essentially 27 out of 27. But
and I said, they could have just asked me one question. Is Kelsey highly sensitive? She sure as fuck is. You ever watched a movie with her that's kind of scary?
Yeah. So I have been waiting over a week to tell you these questions because I was like, oh my God, when I read them to you, I think you're going to find them hilarious because it's like you see this stuff in me all the time. But I also thought it'd be funny for you to try to answer them as well for yourself.
Okay.
And see where you're at on it. So it is the instructions for this. Check the box if it is at least somewhat true for you. So it doesn't have to be a 100%, but if it is somewhat true, then it's a yes.
Okay.
Leave it unchecked if it is not very true or not at all true for you.
Not very true. Okay.
But if it's even somewhat true, you're supposed to say yes.
Well, that's conflicting already. If it's somewhat true, but not very true, then what do I put one line in the box and not put an X?
I guess that is kind of confusing.
It's already dumb. Just kidding. Oh my God, it's official. A doctor made it in 1996 that we haven't seen the credentials for. I'm ready. Hit me.
God.
I'm not trying to ruin it. I'm just telling you, it's like, that's a weird, think about that description. That's crazy. Hey, if you've done this 1 to 3 times, say yes. If you've done it 1, 2, or 3 times, say no.
How about we just start and you just give it a go?
I'm ready.
I am easily overwhelmed by strong sensory input.
No.
Okay. I seem to be aware of subtleties in my environment.
I don't understand that one.
Like if there's a small change in your environment. Like,
well, yeah, I notice everything.
Okay. Other people's moods affect me.
Yeah.
I tend to be very sensitive to pain.
No.
Okay. I find myself needing to withdraw during busy days into bed or a darkened room or any place where I can have some privacy and relief from stimulation.
No, I like to fuck the day. I do. If it's coming at me, it's like, listen, you came at me, bro. Get ready to get your shit pushed in. Tuesday, if that is your real name.
Oh, fuck.
Tuesday's becoming Tuesday. Let's go.
Oh, my God. I like to fuck the day. New merch alert. Holy shit. Add it to the list of merch that we already haven't made.
That we're never going to make.
God. Okay, but isn't that like, doesn't that one describe me exactly?
Oh, yeah.
where I'm like, I just need to.
If there's more people than me here, you're in the room for at least an hour in the bedroom.
Or sometimes you'll be like, I'll go to the bathroom. You're like, what are you doing in there? And sometimes I'm like, just let me sit on the toilet in silence.
Yeah, you're like a dad.
Yeah.
You gotta play your games. You gotta play your puzzles on taking a shit.
I'm like, I just need no stimulation.
You're not sensitive. You're a dad. It's different.
I am particularly sensitive to the effects of caffeine. I can't have caffeine.
Yeah. It depends. I mean, no.
I'd say
I'm gonna
no. Yeah. I am easily overwhelmed by things like bright lights, strong smells, coarse fabrics, or sirens close by.
No.
These things make me laugh because these are so me to it, like through the roof.
Yeah. It's almost like your resume.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what's so crazy is like by the end of this quiz, I was like, I don't understand who, like to me, it's just like, does somebody just follow me around and like write questions based on their observations of me?
Yeah.
Like it's so specific to me, it feels like. I have a rich, complex inner life, which I think means like your mind and emotions.
Who doesn't have that?
Well, sometimes we talk about like country songs. There's like, got my dog and my gun on my porch.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do.
Okay. I am made uncomfortable by loud noises.
No. Oh, my God. Did you have to check that one 3 times? You know what? Actually, you've got extra credit on this. You should have a 36 out of 27 so far.
I am deeply moved by the arts or music.
That is very rarely. It happens, but
Yeah.
it's rare.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to say no.
Isn't that, when I read that, I was like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing. But you know how sometimes I feel like feel music like more deeply than other people?
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. I mean, there was one time, remember that time in Italy where the guy was singing and then the Asian guy came up?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And he was trying to like communicate with the guy and the guy didn't understand him. And so finally he waved him away. And then all of a sudden through the crowd, this Asian guy started singing the female part of the opera that the guy was singing.
Yeah.
I started crying that day because I'm like, what the fuck is going on? It was one of those see we can get along moments. Remember 9/11? Everyone's like, there is no black or white. Everyone's gray today. Mm-hmm. And then obviously people ask them not to forget and people have forgotten that part of it.
They sure have. So that's a no, you're saying?
Yeah, I'm going to say that's a no because it's not often.
Okay. My nervous system sometimes feels so frazzled that I just have to go off by myself.
No.
I am conscientious.
I don't understand. Yeah, everyone is.
So,
Is that not true?
I don't know. Maybe some
Yeah,
people
I'm saying
aren't.
yes.
I startle easily.
No. Oh my God.
I know.
That's unbelievable.
I know. I get rattled when I have a lot to do in a short amount of time.
No, that's when I dial it in.
Yeah.
I fuck the day.
I don't. Mm-mm. The day fucks me.
Mm-hmm.
I grab my ankles a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, too many things. When people are uncomfortable in a physical environment, I tend to know what needs to be done to make it more comfortable, like changing the lighting or the seating.
Oh, I would never even think to do that. Put sunglasses on or don't be so fat. We were at this wedding.
My God.
Well, listen, this is because it's fresh.
Oh my
This is fresh. If you're overweight, I'm not trying to attack.
Oh my God.
I'm just saying, like, we were at this wedding and there was a family member there, very heavy, and we're in a barn. It's Indiana. I mean, not that there's only barns in Indiana, but we were in a barn.
We're in the middle of a cornfield.
But it was a beautiful barn. Let me just say that. But the seats were little rickety wooden folding chairs.
Yeah.
And then that family member was walking around like, well, I can't sit on this chair. I was like, well, you could at one point. Because I know this person.
Yeah.
And I want to be like, and then everyone's looking at me because I remember there were speeches going on and he was standing up because he couldn't sit in his chair.
Yeah.
And people were trying to see around him. And I go, he's the widest motherfucker here. And not whitest, widest with a D. And I'm going to tell you, he was kind of a dink to me growing up.
Yeah.
So I don't feel even a little bad about this.
Yeah.
Because I know a time when that chair would have held him. And it's like, that's not the chair's fault.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't change the chairing. I'd be like, well, you get to stand. And while you're standing, why don't you walk in place?
Oh my God.
And fucking pass the cake.
Oh God. This podcast is like the polar opposite of my self-helpless podcast.
Again, I'm not trying to attack. This is a very specific thing I'm talking about.
No, I know. It's just so funny. I am annoyed when people try to get me to do too many things at once.
Yeah, but I don't feel that's sensitivity. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Who isn't annoyed by that? The biggest people pleaser on planet Earth?
Yeah, maybe.
Or
know. People who are like, I'm really good at multitasking. Like, bring it on. I don't know.
I'm not more of a, like, I get overwhelmed. I'm just like, you do it. I mean, you saw me, I had a fucking meltdown in Indiana one night because it was like, I planned everyone's stuff. Everyone's asking me questions. There are 100 people at this wedding and people keep coming to me for answers. It's like, fucking Google it or ask someone for the list or whatever. Yeah, I'm on one today. Keep going.
Okay. So is that, wow, there's a lisp, darn it. Is that a no for you?
Well, I mean, technically it's a yes because I'm annoyed. I'm not like oversensitive about it. I'm like, do your own thing.
Yeah. Okay. I try hard to avoid making mistakes or forgetting things.
Oh, I mean, no, I forget all the time.
And meanwhile, I'm just like,
well, that must suck for you when I'm like, hey, don't let me forget this. You're like, that's too many tasks.
Yeah, it's like 5 things into one. Okay, are you ready for this one? I make a point to avoid violent movies and TV shows.
Anytime an advertisement for a movie comes on where it's like children singing, "We love you, mommy," and it's all that chorus, she just puts her head down and plugs her ears and expects me to nudge her when it's over.
Yeah. Isn't Green Mile like violent or sad or something?
You have to see it.
Okay.
There's some stuff in it that is pretty intense.
Okay.
But the overall, it's a very powerful movie.
Okay. Well, I become unpleasantly aroused when a lot is going on around me.
No.
Being very hungry creates a strong reaction in me, disrupting my concentration or my mood.
Once in a while.
That one is very me. As soon as I get very hungry, I'm like, everything stops.
Yep.
I have to
Which
eat.
is about an hour after every meal.
Yeah. Changes in my life shake me up.
No, I mean, only the giant ones, not the everyday ones.
I notice and enjoy delicate or fine scents, tastes, sounds, works of art.
Sure.
Okay. I find it unpleasant to have a lot going on at once.
No.
I make it a high priority to arrange my life to avoid upsetting or overwhelming situations.
No.
I just started laughing so hard in the car when they asked me that. I was like, oh my God. So funny. I am bothered by intense stimuli like loud noises or chaotic scenes.
No. I'm only bothered by loud music when I need to concentrate on like finding a parking spot or something.
When I must compete or be observed while performing a task, I become so nervous or shaky that I do much worse than I would otherwise.
No.
Is
that the one they said no to?
That's the only one that I had.
That makes sense.
But I still, I don't enjoy it, but I think I've had to kind of overcome that one a little bit. But I do get more nervous.
Yeah.
So that's what I was saying. It's like, if it's somewhat true, it's like, yeah, I've just had to try to power through it. But
Okay.
And then the last question. When I was a child, my parents or teachers seemed to see me as sensitive or shy.
Absolutely not.
Cut to me tugging on the skirt of my first grade teacher's skirt. God damn it.
Allow myself to introduce myself.
Oh Oh my God. But yeah, my first grade teacher told my parents at the first parent teacher conference that on the first day of first grade, also, how many times can I say first in one sentence? Holy fucking shit. That she let me and my classmates out for recess, and I didn't understand recess. And so she turned to walk away to like the conference room, and then she felt this like little tug on her skirt, and she looked down and it was me. And I was like, excuse me, exactly where are you going? She was like, oh, okay, this is going to be interesting. And it was like very overwhelming for me. Just wanted to be with a guardian figure.
Yeah. Yep. I remember going to kindergarten the first day and getting dropped off, and everyone was crying. And I was like, what the fuck's going on here?
Oh my God, really?
Yeah. I was like, why are you guys crying? Is it not just always yelling?
Oh my God. Yeah.
I'm coming here for some peace and quiet. Stop crying.
Oh my God. So funny.
Yeah, I didn't even know what the word pussies meant, but I said it. I'm like, stop crying, pussies. I'm like, oh, what's that? Did I get detention on the first day? I don't know what this is about.
Yeah. I hated having to leave my parents. And so my first grade teacher to me became like my new school parent. And so when she was like, no, you go away from me, I was like, not a chance.
Yeah.
I will be joining you for lunch, actually.
I remember in kindergarten, we had a guy that wasn't fully potty trained somehow. And we had to take turns helping him go to the bathroom, all the boys.
Yeah.
And she was like, Chad, it's your turn. I was like, nope. Figure it out, bro.
Oh my God.
Pull your pants down all the way to the ankles if you have to. It's a one bathroom deal. You can lock the door. No one's going to see your buns. Get in there. Lock the door. Pull your pants down. Piss in the toilet. Sit down if you have to. No one's watching you.
Cut to 40 years later. Your mom like, can we do a practice round? Nope.
Yeah, we're playing a game of cards at the wedding, and my mom's like, well, I don't understand. Let's do a practice round. Fucking figure it out on the fly, lady.
No. Not everybody is as smart as you.
It has nothing to do with that. I
Including
was ready to be done.
I know. By the way, I mean, I know you hate compliments like this, but when I was listening to The Middle of Somewhere that came out today, or well, when you guys were listening a couple days ago, you and Sai were doing this like funny like role play of Justin's landlord.
Okay.
And you said your name was Jim James or something like that. And
I don't remember.
You were like, yep, I really love eating at Little Caesars and playing ping pong. And so I was like, wait, what's with the Little Caesars? And you're like, oh, because it's pizza. And I was like, what the fuck? Like your brain that you did that fast. Ugh. Sometimes I'm like.
No practice rounds. That's the point.
Oh my God. What? It must be like. Okay.
What do I do?
So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's see here. Do I have to enter an email? If you answered, your total 7. So you're not at all. You have to answer more than 14.
Oh, gotcha.
To be considered it. So you were 7. Which, does that surprise you? Does that not surprise you? Did you think going into it you would be?
No. I thought that there would be some questions that I disagreed with, and there were. Because it feels like they're impossible to answer correctly, especially with those instructions in the front end. So, but yeah, that seems about right, I think.
Yeah. How did...
I mean, I said that I'm not sensitive to music other than that time in Italy, and then I said I cried at the song. But I also think if I heard that song by itself, I wouldn't have cried. It was everything, watching Kais dance with his mom and like all this stuff. So
yeah. How did you feel about hearing those questions in relation to me?
Yeah. I mean, I knew it was there. It should be the test where it says 1, 2, or 3, the severity of it. That makes more sense to me.
Oh yeah.
And you would have circled all 3s and 1, 2, I think.
Yeah.
That's what I think would have happened.
Yeah. Interesting.
80 points out of that'd be pretty nuts.
Yeah. Well, I don't really know what it means. I don't know how to really live my life differently other than what I think I'm already doing, but it does make me feel a little more like it's okay when I am feeling overwhelmed to just be like, I really do need to just like take a second to not feel overstimulated. and know that there's actually like a whole group of people out there who feel the same way.
That's what I do love about these quizzes, is that it gives people an excuse to stop trying.
Okay, so we've got some listener questions, and if I could find my laptop.
You know that if I don't know if you fail an ADHD test, but if I fail it, you know that that's the first thing I'm going to be talking about.
Mm-hmm. I know. Is it nice to do a test that you are like, oh, well, maybe I have ADHD or autism, but I for sure don't have that.
Yeah, that's one I don't have.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So you know that at the end of the show, we always do listener questions. So if you want to write into Pretend Problems Podcast, with the tongue tie, that is a real shit email address we came up with. pretendproblemspodcast@gmail.com.
Good job.
Thank you. And we will give you relationship advice. If you want to weigh in on anything we're talking about, we'd love to read it on the show. So please write in. It's one of our favorite things. This first one is titled Early Comedy / Work Balance Suggestions and Any Post-Mormonism Suggestions.
Whoa.
They say, hello, Chelsea. Has that joke already been made? It has, but we like it anyway.
Oh, yeah. It's like welcoming now.
Yeah. Loving the podcast. I have been a fan of both of you for a number of years, and when this podcast started, it seemed like a no-brainer to listen.
Who was first?
Thank you.
Write in and tell us who you liked first.
I'm an open mic comedian in Chicago, and I love it every time that I'm able to get up. My sometimes exhausting job with nebulous hours makes it harder to get to open mics. The biggest reason I moved to Chicago was to take steps in making stand-up a career. It's then frustrating when I can't take those steps due to lack of time or just being tired. I'm curious what some of the jobs y'all had when comedy might not have been paying the bills were, and how you found time to prioritize comedy. Any suggestions on building material as a fairly new comedian? So that's one chunk of questions.
Okay.
And then I'd also appreciate some advice from a couple of heathens like yourselves, because I grew up Mormon, which has left me rather inexperienced, especially sexually. I didn't lose my virginity until I was 29, and I am 28.
Oh, is that a joke?
Because it should be.
Is that a joke that you bring
funny
on stage? You have to talk about being a Mormon growing up, I would think, and that's a fantastic opener.
That's so funny. The closest I've come was second base with a girl in college. Go me.
What's second base? Tits?
I don't know.
I think everybody has to. See, here's the thing.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, second base was tits.
I don't think I ever actually got a full explanation of the bases because I didn't have an older sibling.
Yeah. And now I feel like with all that's going on in society, second base, for all we know, could be anal. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I always feel like the oldest guy when I'm like, second base is the tits. They're like, is it? Is it giving her a rusty trombone in between her tits after we did anal? Because that's like leading off second. Like, okay, all right, I don't know. Is home run still just humping?
Oh my God.
I would think, right?
I would think, yeah, but that's very funny. Who knows? Wow, the Minnesota me, who knows?
Oh, who knows?
Who knows?
That's right.
I would like to report that boobs are softer than I thought they'd be.
Boom. Okay, now we know. I should have let you keep talking. Now we know that second base are boobs.
Then again, my only frame of reference were mine. You're so funny.
Yeah, I keep getting thrown by. I'm going to stop talking until this is finished.
Yeah, I mean, this is just so funny.
And also, then is that not second base if he's only felt his own boobs?
I don't know.
Okay.
So I now find myself in the interesting position of recently leaving Mormonism and having no idea how the hell to date outside of the church, let alone get laid. I'm also in a weird space because drinking still doesn't really interest me, and trying to hook up with girls in bars seems non-consensual. I've been on dating apps for a number of years, and they have been practically useless. I do know I need to expand my horizons to meet more people, audition more, I'm also an actor, find some new people to play pickleball with other than church friends, etc. Go pickleball. We love it. It's about a pickleball necklace.
Still going to church, I've noticed, after the Mormonism.
Or he says church friends, so it might just be friends from church, but he's not going to church.
Okay.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't think people go, yeah, I'm hanging out with my comedy friends today if they don't do comedy.
But don't you think you would have made friends through something, and then if you leave, you still are friends with those people, and you maybe just see them outside of church?
Yeah, that
like for
that
pickleball?
could very well be.
But yeah, what suggestions do y'all have for someone who just stopped being really religious? Should I try drinking? From your recent break from drinking, I'm guessing no. What drugs, if any, should I try? I have smoked weed once, and I would like to try it again, and mushrooms interest me. Thanks. And then in parentheses it says, insert apology for length of the email, even though y'all asked us to send them, and this isn't even that long here. Hayden. You can use my name because even if you don't, anyone from the Chicago comedy scene listening will be able to find out it's me pretty easily. Maybe someone will reach out and offer a blowjob. Shrugging emoji. Hayden.
Number one, I doubt someone's going to reach out and offer you a blowjob. Number two, my first suggestion is when you live in Chicago, stop saying y'all. That's
where
going
are
to
you
keep the
from
ladies away.
recently? Yeah.
That's going to keep the
Or not
ladies away
recently,
because Chicago is like slick talk. It's like, think Vince Vaughn.
Oh, okay.
That's Chicago. You got to get in there. You got to be confident, but not rapey, which is a fine line, I have found. You're very funny, though. So I think that is going to, I mean, you're looking at a guy who, when he was in high school, had the hot friends, right? And then the girls would come over to our table, and I would keep them there with my sense of humor, and then the girls would go home and make out with all the hot guys anyways. So it's not always the best thing. Girls say they love a funny guy, but I think there's more to it. That's what I have found. There's more to it. You have to be more than just funny.
Well, you're starting off strong, though. And where should we start? Should we start with like prioritizing comedy?
Sure, let's start at the top.
Okay. For me, when I was in Seattle, I worked as a receptionist and I worked 3 days a week. So I had no money, but it did give me flexibility to like do hosting sets on the weekend and like do or feature sets and do like shows at night during the week. I was fucking exhausted. Like if it was a show and then I had to wake up for work, you are kind of burning the candle at both ends for sometimes years. But that was kind of what I found worked for me because it was a job that I didn't take home. It wasn't physically strenuous. I was like sitting for most of the day. It was like entry level work. It wasn't good pay. But and working 3 days a week, also not good pay, but it was enough that I could like barely get by and have time to do comedy, which I think is like kind of the sweet spot you're looking for. How about you?
I would suggest something with tips during the day. That's what I would try to do. Serving or bartending. I bartended and I had the sweetest couple, Ron and Cindy Eagles, had a bar called the Eagles Nest next to a Broadway Pizza. And when they found out I was going on the road to do stand-up, they would give me those days off and have other people work extra shifts that week. And then because those people worked extra, then they would give them days off the next week and give those shifts to me.
Oh, that's
I'm
nice.
telling you, the way that my career started, the stars really aligned. But I think you can find something. I would definitely try to work for tips. You're really funny and charismatic, it seems like. And so I think that would be good for you. And then you have your nights off. I would also say, even if you're tired, you got to do it.
Yeah, it's so hard. I feel like those were some of the most tired years of my life, were when I was working during the day and getting up at night. I told that story recently of like getting a giant Bavarian pretzel at 10 in the morning with beer cheese sauce, and I would just like go and put my hood up. I was out of my mind. I was so exhausted, but like you have to.
But that is how you start comedy. I mean, unless you're a rich kid, I don't know how else you do it. I mean, there's going to be sacrifice, and a lot of the sacrifice is going to be sleep.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really want to try it if you believe in yourself, then I think you should do it. I think you should. You know, you're young enough. You said 28. You can not have sleep for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the harder you go now, hopefully the sooner you'll get to that next level and it will be worth it. But if you kind of like pussyfoot it, then it feels like that can just go on and on forever. Like you have to kind of commit to doing it. I just told you this. I did Melissa Rivers' podcast, and she asked me when I had started comedy what my plan B was. And I was like, oh, actually, I didn't have a plan B once I started comedy. And she goes, you know what? My mom, Joan Rivers, said the same thing, that once you start, you actually can't have a contingency plan, or else you won't go as hard as you need to make it in comedy. Like, there cannot be a fallback.
Yeah. If you're going to walk a tightrope, leave the net at home, because you're going to focus way harder.
Yeah, you have to just go for it. So.
Which Hedberg used to say, you have to stay hungry. That's why when people asked him, he had a bit about making a bunch of money at a gig, and he went and bought a snake bite kit and shit like that, just to have, even though he didn't need it. He lived in a city. And people were like, well, why would you waste all your money? And he's like, because I don't want money right now. I need to stay hungry, so I'm working hard. Because if I go back on this, I'm going to have one album and end up being a flash in the pan.
Whoa, I never heard that. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. And then, so the dating advice, I mean, listen, it's worked out for you and I to be dating comedians. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if that is something you're interested in. I also totally understand if you're like, do not want to date another comedian, but that is an easy way to meet somebody who has a lot in common with you. And then you're asking, well, what do you have to say to that?
Well,
or like where to meet people.
I don't know about the dating. I'm more concentrating on the not having a lot of experience sexually, because I'm sure you have found that there are women, right? You're 28, going to be 29. I'm guessing a lot of girls you're talking to have humped quite a bit, right? And so this might really be a thing where you need to invite some friends over that can keep a secret and show you where all the stuff is and show you what to do with it. And then you have to be able to ask the person you're with, which can be really embarrassing, but you have to be able to ask questions. You have to be able to tell them, be open with me about what you want. And you're gonna take some swings and misses, and you just have to keep on it. I mean, I'm not going to go as far as to say, get a hooker and have her tell you what to do. But I'm also not going to tell you. I'm going to throw that out there. I'm going to leave that up to you. But I do think you're going to probably want to watch, I want to say watch porn, but can I tell you something? Some of the porn you watch is bad advice. It's like, no one wants to get slapped in the clit with an open hand, like they just said something you didn't, like a wife just said something in the 50s that the husband didn't like. They're like fucking like knocking on it. And not knocking nicely, knocking like it's a police officer wondering if everything's okay. That kind of knocking, like full palm knocking. I've seen that on porn, and I'm like, no way that works.
I know.
I mean, if I breathe too hard around you, you're like, too much.
Like I said, I'm a highly sensitive person.
Yeah, no shit, 26.
But you know what's funny? I have a friend who, I won't say her name even though she's been very open about this. She like needs like a jackhammer to have an orgasm.
Well, there you go.
And so that's what like, I don't envy.
Ask.
Yeah. I don't envy you guys that you have to deal with like whatever that extremely wide ranges of women's sensitivities. But that's why you ask, right?
So I've heard this joke before on stage, Hayden, where, we say this name?
Yeah.
Okay. Where men will say a woman's vagina is like a 7-number safe, right? And then you finally figure out how to crack it and you're so excited. But it is one of these safes that changes at midnight every single day. And so you have to refigure out how to do it. I mean, that's also true.
So true.
Some women like this one day, and then the next day, they fucking think you're the devil for trying it. So it really is. What I would do is come up with a 27 question test. And I would ask them all those questions. And if they score higher than 14, I would just go for it.
Yeah. And if you are not talking about the fact that you're a virgin on stage, I think you should. I think it instantly draws people in. I think it's really compelling. I think it's like very likable and just like vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I agree with Chad. I think if you have some friends that have some experience, they should help you out a little bit, give you some information.
Some guys can be dicks though, so careful who you tell. I'm telling you,
nice friends.
Make sure these are good people that aren't going to go out and be like, fucking Hayden doesn't know. You know,
Yeah.
they can be complete pricks because a lot of guys have to blow out someone else's candle to make theirs shine brighter.
Right.
That is just a fact. I will also say, you say you're a virgin on stage enough times in Chicago, and somebody is going to pity fuck you. That's absolutely true.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like women see a guy perform and it's like automatically, you know, women like guys who are funny, women like guys who are confident. You're already showing women like, hey, I've got some things going on. And then if you are that vulnerable and that like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like unpretentious, I guess, or just like, hey, I'm not trying to hide anything. This is who I am. Like, I'm trying to learn. And if you're funny about it, I really do bet you'll get some women coming up to you after shows and be like, fuck it. Like, maybe that's like a kink. Maybe some women love taking virginity.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. Again, I don't know. You said you're like on dating apps. I don't know if you're like really looking for a girlfriend right now or more like just trying to get experience. But either way, I think you should talk about it on stage and see what happens.
I do too, but I don't think you should be looking for a girlfriend right now. That's also advice from...
Yeah.
I think you should go out and this should be your... Whatever the Mormon version of a rumspringa is, this should be yours. You should go out and populate the gene pool. Don't get anyone pregnant, actually. But I think that you should go out and just have your time. Agreed. And then when you're confident in that, being able to talk to girls is going to get way easier because it's not in the back of your head.
Yeah. And you're not going to put so much pressure. Like if you were to start dating somebody right now and lose your virginity to that person as well, if you don't have any experience with this, you might be putting like a lot of pressure on that one person for this to be like the thing, like the end all be all.
I need you to look at me right now. Sex does not equal love. Okay? Don't you dare think that. I know they probably taught you that, but and don't tell your goddamn pickleball friends about this either. Don't tell your pickled friends that are hanging out in white vinegar all day. Don't tell your pickleball friends either, because this is something. Can I tell you something? I think you're gonna have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm like excited for you. Yeah. You should write it again. We would love to know any updates on this. When you're saying, should I try drinking? If you haven't ever had alcohol, like have some fun. See what it's like. Mm-hmm. I think especially in this situation, it could help you kind of feel a little bit more loose and like a little more confident in what could maybe be a nerve-wracking situation. Yeah. But alcohol's not the answer.
Don't have too much alcohol. Because then you're not going to have a boner.
True.
But then you're going to be able to figure out other stuff. Which is nice because you go like, well, I can't have sex with you because my dick doesn't work. How about my fingers? My fingers.
But yeah, we just because we're not drinking right now, we're not trying to ever like vilify it. We've said that a bunch on here. So have fun, but it's not, don't go fucking wild
like
on it.
If people are still drinking, they don't have to listen to us. And if they can't stop and they're weak, it's like whatever.
Yeah. All right, we're already over an hour. God damn it. One
question.
I know. Let's do a couple more. Okay, so this is a quick one. It says name for the podcast listeners, and they just say, how about problem children? Example, hi, I'm a problem child.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like that too.
That
makes us the mom and the dad. I don't know how you feel about that.
I mean, I'm not going to ever be a real mom, so.
Well, not with that tongue pain.
Oh, God, I just love it. You guys, it's just a joke. I'm really totally fine with it. I feel like every time I say it, somebody writes in like, Kelsey seemed actually upset. I'm actually not.
Well, we'll see. And she takes a lover that can have babies.
Oh, for the love of God. Okay. This one is called Newly Empty Nest. They say, hey, Chad and Kelsey. I'm a longtime fan of Chad, and so is my wife, and newly fans of Kelsey after finding her comedy through Chad. We caught Chad most recently in May in Nashville, and Kelsey in Raleigh in July. Both were awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for telling us who you liked first.
Yeah, I knew you were going to really love that.
Thank you for letting us know.
Knew you were going to really love that. We are newly empty nesters. By the way, loved the special. Everyone should pause this and go watch it. I digress. We immediately shifted to, guess we need to find stuff to do and start traveling once our youngest daughter moved out. She also had our oldest grandchild. They were both living with us. Are we wrong for avoiding the being sad part of any of our 3 kids not being around as much? Of note, one of the planned trips is to see the daughter that moved furthest away. Also, sorry so long. We just got through watching y'all on Something's Burning with Bert, and I have to add, when Katie and I got started, I was a morning person and Katie was not. 17 years in, kids were from her marriage. I didn't bring any kids with me. I treat morning times the same way as if I'm trying not to wake the bear. I will sometimes even be not seen by the T-Rex in Jurassic Park still and quiet until she's had all the coffee. Katie definitely broke me of trying to get her to be a morning person very quickly. Anyway, I had fun. I hope y'all are having fun. Jim in Mississippi. Jim, thank you.
Yeah, in Mississippi, you can say y'all all you want, Jim. And I know Jim.
Oh, okay.
I've met Jim. He's come to specials, and Katie, of course, too. But I did not know that their youngest daughter had their oldest grandchild.
Oh.
See, that seems very Mississippi.
Yeah, for sure. So how do you feel about like them saying, are we wrong for avoiding the being sad part of becoming an empty nester?
I don't think so. I mean, I
don't think so either.
It's different strokes in this situation. I think it's, if you are excited to, here's what I have found talking about being an empty nester. I have found that people that are in a long-term relationship with the kids are ready. They're like, now it's our time.
Yeah.
Right? Remember the Goonies when they were down in the wishing well? And he's like, it's our time. It's our time down here. Mm-hmm. Well, it's your time. And I had a little different situation because every other week I had the kids by myself and that was my time. And then when I thought about them leaving, I'm like, uh-oh, it's going to be just me and the dog. This isn't going to be great in Minnesota winters when it's dark at 4:30. Cuckoo. So I don't think at all that you're in the wrong for not being sad. If you're not sad, don't be sad. Don't make yourself be sad.
Well, and it sounds like, of course you're probably sad in some way, but it's one of those things where it's like, it doesn't have to be this or that. It can be that and that. You can immediately go start enjoying this new chapter of your life and still miss your kids being around.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, doesn't make you a bad parent.
Yeah. And also, Jim, thank you for sharing all my stories.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, let's plug our tour dates real quick, and then we're going to hop into our Patreon episode because we got a new little mini bonus one for you guys. If you want to join and hear more podcasts, patreon.com/pretendproblems.
Sure. I'm going to give your tongue a break.
Okay.
I'm going to be in Spokane the 13th and 14th of September, and then the 20th and 21st of September, I'm going to be in Tampa at Side Splitters. October 3 through 5, I'm going to be in Madison, Wisconsin at Comedy on State. Then later on that month, I had it all, and now I'm done. But, later on that month, I'm going to be in Columbus. Then November, I will be in Denver, San Francisco, and Sacramento. And then I'll be in Salt Lake City and Las Vegas.
Nice. In September, I'm going to be in Baltimore area, Fort Collins. In October, I'm in Omaha and Phoenix. In November, I'm in Providence and Dania Beach. And then in December, I'm in Austin and San Antonio. You can get tickets at kelseycook.com. Whew.
You did it.
I did it.
Nice work.
And now we're going to do Patreon. So we'll see you guys over there if you want more podcasts.
Yes. Thank you for tuning into this episode. And we'll see some of you on the other side.
Okay, bye.